October 1st, 2013, Breaking Bad finale. I'm doing this 40 hours after it was the episode was shown, because initially I was going to do the review right after the episode, get it off the bat, and when the masses are going to be commenting and reacting to it. But I waited a day and a half because initially I thought I was a little bit iffy about the ending. I didn't like it that much, so I wanted to watch it again, but I also wanted to have some perspective of it because I know this review will be up forever, and I didn't want to have my initial emotional reactions to the final, because in a way I was kind of sad the show was going to end, so no matter what I was going to be a little bit sad or melancholy after the review. So initially, I was a little bit skeptic about the ending because I thought it wrapped up a little bit too tightly. But in hindsight, I think that's the point. And that'll be my thesis statement in the end. But I think that the point is that it was supposed to wrap up too tightly, because soon as Walt tells the truth, then things begin to go his way. But here's the ending episode is that Walt has a mission. He has 4 missions in this episode that he needs to achieve. He wants to make sure that the money goes to his family. He wants to make sure that he gets to tell Skyler the truth and then see his baby one last time. He wants to shut down his own created meth business, and he wants to die. And he does achieve all 4 things. Not to mention, Jesse gets to live on, and he kills Todd in the process, which I think every single fan wanted that to happen. Like, it couldn't have gone better, because we all wanted Jesse to live and to kill Todd, because Todd needed it to go very quickly. The Nazis are all dead. We all wanted that to happen. And of course, the great villain, Uncle Nazi, gets his last little line with Walt, and that's how great villains die. Great villains never die with the rest of the masses. They always get a couple of wounds to them, and they're always like trying to keep going, and they want the hospital. But Walt kills the Uncle Nazi. He does force his old partners in the first act to give his son his money in a really creepy, interesting scene. Walt tells Skyler that he did this all for him, and as soon as Walt begins to tell the truth that I didn't do it for my family, which he's been telling for 5 years, that he finally did it for him and himself because he liked it. He liked doing the criminal enterprise. And soon as Walt says that, everything goes his way. So then that's perhaps the point the creators were trying to say, is that every time that in Breaking Bad, it was always like they take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Every time they take a step forward and they move a step forward in the meth business, there's always major casualties to occur. And the second season, Walt gets the money that he needs, of course, and 2 planes crash in the sky and everybody dies. And of course, Jane dies as well. That last season 5, of course, the great train robbery heist, and the kid dies in the process. So every time they achieve something, a great casualty occurs. In this episode, everything kind of goes his way, and that's why I said maybe that's the point. And initially, I was skeptical, because that's what great Breaking Bad fashion is that for every great thing that they do criminally, there's a bad thing that happens to society. And this is what happens with Walt, is that he tells the truth. He was able to park the car where he wanted for the machine gun at the Nazis. It's just funny even saying that sentence. He was able to get his car keys to take off the blow. All the Nazis die. Uncle Nazi is doomed by his own pride, which was Walt was doomed usually by his own pride, because he wants Walt to know before he kills Walt that he didn't partner with the rat Jesse, that basically Jesse is a slave to them. And then Walt sees Jesse for being the slave that he is, and then Walt kind of has like a momentary reaction that maybe I'll save Jesse's life, because I think initially he was there to kill Jesse because they were partners. But because Uncle Nazi showed Walt Jesse in his slave-like state, it doomed all of them. And then Walt dies, and he gets to see his meth lab, which he loved. That was his favorite thing, being a chemist. And he dies while Jesse rides off into the dark sunset. And where does Jesse go? Maybe he will be in the Better Call Saul reboots, because they are doing a Better Call Saul reboot, and I think that's what's going to happen. It is one of the better endings of all time, because they actually had a grand beginning, middle, and end television show, which most television shows just start off with the concept and they just want to keep going. Whereas initially Breaking Bad had an ending in its pitch, and they concluded that ending just like a great movie, just like a great book. This will be one of the top 5 shows of all time. The Wire for me is still number 1. Mad Men is ahead of Breaking Bad as well. No offense, but I think Mad Men is a far better show. It will stand the test of time a lot more, and I'm sure we'll have the ending that Breaking Bad has. And we're all learning from these endings, because Lost was a terrible ending, Sopranos was a terrible ending, and this is what they learned from it. And no matter what, 6 Feet Under, a flawed show, not even a top 25 show, still has the greatest ending of all time. But Breaking Bad did its justice, and I initially didn't like the episode, but you know what? In hindsight, I think what they're trying to do is right, and I think I missed a couple plot points and a couple thematic points, and because I was too emotionally involved when I was watching the episode. But in hindsight, he did good. Good to Vince Gilligan and his team. If you're ever interested, watch. They have a director's commentary for every single episode of Breaking Bad on their DVD disc. They're pretty insightful. They're pretty entertaining, and you learn a lot about the show through Vince Gilligan. And what number one thing you learn is that this guy's a master collaborator. He collaborated with his team in so many different ways. He wasn't the mastermind puppet of the show. He really got a lot of help on this show, and I'm sure a lot of these characters and people are going to do very well in the future. So that's over and out, the end of Breaking Bad. It's very sad to hear. See ya.